Okay, so I'm going to start with the starter that I've pulled out of the refrigerator. You can see there's some bubbles in there, the activity of the yeast becoming active as it warms up. And then I have a bowl for mixing the flour and the water that I'm going to add. I've got my scale. And now I'm just going to add 100 grams or about 100 grams of flour to the bowl. And it doesn't have to be totally accurate. You're just feeding a starter, not baking a cake. So I'm going to go for 100 grams. It's my target. Actually, went a bit over 103 grams, but again, not a problem. And now I've got some tap water, hot tap water. I find that just running the tap hot and filling it up is fine. I'm going to add 103 grams, and then by the time I mix all that up, it'll cool off to about 110, 115 degrees, which is ideal for the yeast to get them really going. They like that warm water. So I'm going to add up to 206, which will double the weight with the flour and the water in it. And then all I'm going to do is mix it up really well, try to get all of the flour incorporated. All the water and flour incorporated together so there's no dry flour sitting around, and then just stir it up really well. Get all that flour from the bottom corners of the mixing bowl. Got almost all of it now. And then once that's all mixed up like this, I'm going to add it to the starter and scrape it all out of the bowl, add it to the starter, and then just mix it very well and make sure that it's fully incorporated in there. That way the yeast can get at it very easily. Then once you get it all mixed up, then just get as much off the fork as you can. Then cover it with a towel and just set it aside on the countertop at room temperature. I usually will feed mine for 2 days after pulling it out of the refrigerator before I use it in a recipe. Okay, well, it's been about 3.5 hours, and you can see that the size has increased quite a bit. That's due to all the air bubbles from the yeast. It's not even air bubbles, it's CO2 bubbles that the yeast have created while they were eating the sugars in the flour. It's very active right now. If you watch, there'll be some bubbles here popping and coming up through the top, and you can see them down here on the side where they're just making the big old CO2 bubbles. That's a really good sign of an active and healthy starter. That's what you want to see. So when you feed this the next time, which I'll do tomorrow, you're going to scoop out about half of it, and then you're going to add more flour. Well, with that discard, you can make sourdough crackers like I have here. And so basically, it's just the leftover starter, some flour and water, and then seasonings, and then roll it out really thin, bake it in the oven. Yummy.